Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to talk to you really quickly about my coming out story. Yeah?
What time does Winners close?
11.
Oh, what? Really? Tonight?
I know.
Crazy.
I was recording my coming out video.
Oh, nice.
Come say hi.
Hello.
Hello. Ow. Fuck. Mom! Meatloaf! Fuck! Okay. Hello everyone. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about my coming out story. It's absolutely nothing spectacular whatsoever. It's kind of weird that I don't really remember what happened during that point of time in my life. All I know is my parents found out or asked me about it. I was dating my first boyfriend at the time, and we dated for about 2 years, and we went through a really rough patch, and as it turns out, we broke up. And basically, I was really upset. I was in a really awful mood. I wasn't eating anything. I wouldn't sleep. You could just tell I was just a haggard mess. And so my parents just kind of pulled me aside and just asked me, "What's wrong?" And I never told them. Oh my god, this blanket is making me so itchy. Oh my god, I'm like gonna sneeze. Basically, my parents asked me what was wrong, and I didn't say anything. I'm like, nothing, don't worry about it, just a rough week at school, no big deal. So I was 18 years old, and after that, basically, I was so upset for so long after I broke up with my ex that one day I just I collapsed. I remember my dad was driving me to work that day, and I remember a song came on the radio, and it was just a song that reminded me so much of my ex, and I just started crying. I was just bawling my eyes out. So of course my dad is like, "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" So anyways, I really didn't have any build up for it. I just kind of said it. I was just like, "Dad, I'm gay." And he just he didn't really say much, and then it was about like 10 minutes later he kind of looked at me and he said, "So, you like boys?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And then he kind of asked me, he's like, "So, you kiss boys?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And so basically, he never really asked any questions. So anyways, I was just like, "Dad, don't say anything to Mom. I'll tell Mom when I get home from work today." And that's basically how we kind of left it off. He dropped me off at work, and I went to work. So anyways, he picked me up after I was done work, and I remember that he was driving me home, and he didn't say anything the whole ride home. And I got to my house, and I walked in, and my mom was sitting on the couch, and she was crying. And I knew what it was. My dad obviously told her. So anyways, my dad asked me to come sit down in the living room, so I sat down. And my mom and dad both asked me straight up, and they said, "Chris, are you gay?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And basically my mom was upset because prior to that, they did kind of ask me before if I was gay, and I said no. Because, I mean, this was when I was like 16, 17. They had asked me, and I didn't know what I was myself. So, of course, I was like, I lied. I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not gay. Don't worry, don't worry." So, again, that was when I was 16, and I mean, I didn't really know myself what I was. But anyways, my parents were really upset only because I lied to them. And my mom was like, I don't know why you wouldn't have just told me when I asked you before." And I said, well, I tried to explain to her that, I was scared. I didn't know myself. I was confused with myself. I didn't know what to expect or what I wanted or which direction my life was going. So, I mean, of course, I wasn't ready to tell them. And so as it turns out, that was really why they were upset, is because I lied to them. Not so much the fact that I was gay, it was just because a couple years prior, when they did ask me straight up, I lied to them. And I mean, again, in my head, I was like, this isn't really fair. Only because, like, I mean, you know, I didn't know myself what I was back then, but I mean, I know now. So they asked me and I told them. And I mean, they were pretty upset. They just kind of said, you know, you've been dating this guy for 2 years. Why didn't you ever tell us? Why haven't you said anything? And I basically I didn't really have an answer. I was like, I just wasn't ready to tell you yet. That's basically what it was. I wasn't ready to say anything to them yet. If I have any advice for any of you guys who are coming out, it's a total personal thing. I mean, I was never really ready to come out. I just kind of did. I mean, my parents kind of put me on the spot. It's not like I really had any build up for it. And I know a lot of people have, you know, you spend months, years just trying to build up to have the courage to tell your parents. But I mean, all I can say is, you know your parents best. I knew my parents well enough that I could tell them, and I knew that, you know, they're not gonna. Of course, it upset them at first, because I mean, my family's very traditional. My parents didn't grow up around anyone who was gay, so I mean, to them it was a little bit of a shock, I guess. It took a little while, but I mean, they've come around, and it's just kind of one of those things that, you know, we don't really talk about that often. I mean, I have a boyfriend, I bring him around the house, and they love him, they think he's wonderful, but they don't really acknowledge it. They don't really, you know, talk about it. They never ask me about it. So it's just kind of that one thing that's just not really talked about. So I mean, that's maybe something that kind of bothers me a little bit, because it is something, you know, it's a big part of my life. My boyfriend is a huge part of my life, and it's something maybe I would like to be talked about a bit more, but I mean, I don't know, I guess it's just gonna take a little more time, but they're pretty good so far. I mean, the only thing that worried my mom at the beginning was, she said to me, I'm never gonna have any grandkids, and I said, that's not true, because one day I definitely want kids. I definitely want kids. You know, I'd love to adopt. There's lots of kids out there who need a great home, who don't have a good home, who don't have a home at all, and that's something that I believe strongly in. I would love to adopt someone. I'd love to adopt a kid one day. So I think that's something down the road, way down the road, that I'd consider. Outside of that, any other advice I would have to give you is, if your parents ask you if you're gay, and you are sure or know that you are, don't lie to them. All I can say is that to build that trust with your parents, to build that bond, you need to have the security and the trust between each other. So I think it's important that if they ask you about it, you should just tell them and come clean. Because I mean, I had the opportunity to tell them, even though I wasn't 100% sure, but I mean, I knew enough at the time that I probably could have just been honest and said yes, and it would have saved a lot of hassle down the road. But regardless, that's what happened, and I'm happy where I am today. I'm really happy I told them. I really hope that all of you who haven't come out yet have the courage to tell your parents. I can't really speak for other families, because I don't really know all your other guys' bonds with your parents and how they would react to it. I mean, you have families who are really religious, you have families who are, I don't know, it's just, there's so many different types of families, but you know, parents, 99.9% of the time, their love is unconditional towards their child. And you know, even though you may go through a little rough patch, just keep in mind that your parents might not always understand it. Therefore, you may think they're not supporting you, but they just might need time to understand your situation better. I know a lot of people today keep saying, you know, I was born this way, just accept it, you know, accept it. But that's not always the case. I mean, sometimes people who aren't used to it, who are unfamiliar with the idea of it, they just need time to adjust. I mean, my parents over the course of the last couple years have really adjusted well. They understand my situation, they understand that I like men, that it's not such a bad thing, that it's, you know, it's love is love, and in the end, that's all we got. So that's my advice to you. I hope this was okay enough for a coming out story, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.